Good morning. Also, they have upgraded the grade book. So if you have any outstanding assignments, the grade book updates on Fridays. Today is Friday, so you want to make sure that you have all assignments in. Most of you have. This is just for those who need to do some catch up. All right, what's happening with the live stream is not loading for me today. Zoom is having one of those days. All right. We're still waiting for this. Like I said, this is a very large class, so we're still waiting for about 10 people. Hopefully they will log in soon. In any case, let's see if this, and if you just logged in, go to Canvas. We're looking at Crime Lab services. Last class, we looked at steps, things that you have to look at when you're doing a crime scene report. And again, it's important that and those videos are in the playlist of you missed last class. You can go in the playlist now and take a look at that. We did, oh, my computer over here is frozen. Investigation, CSI processing. That's what we did. Today we're going to do deductive reasoning. I think we did deductive reasoning. Okay. Try to write these things down. Yeah, we did deductive reasoning on Wednesday. So we're going to do the other. So we've done investigation process. There we go. Crime scene service is where you should be in Canvas. I think the YouTube is finally coming on. There we go. All right. So we are streaming live. Okay, so I'm going to, what happened here? All of a sudden it wants to verify. I don't know what I did that it needs to verify, but we will authorize. There we go. Okay, okay. Okay, so we are on this page with Crime Lab Service Lesson. So if you would go ahead and read that over while we're waiting, click on all these lovely little buttons so that you can read up on all of the different services. And we'll give these folks another minute before I switch to the video. And they're late. Right, so last class we were also talking about when you need on the conditions under when you need a search warrant, and that's when you want to go on the crime scene, but it's public property and you need permission. They don't have to let you in their house. They don't have to let you on their property. So you need to get a court order, which is called a warrant, a search warrant, in order to do more than just to look around. So we were talking about you need to be observant and do slow. We wrote down 7 things. One of those was to observe the scene slowly. But aside from that, you might need to do a little more digging. You might need to go overturn some things. And if it's on private property, you need permission to do that. Okay. So these are the times when you may not need to have a search warrant. So take a look at that. Also, what I want to show you on your homepage, and again, I'm kind of waiting on folks, but they're late. All right, so on your homepage, you can now go to class videos, and that's where we will find the lessons. So like I said, I'm live streaming from here on out, and they will be listed on here. Right now, we have 5 things on your list. So we have looked at all of those, all the ones that we've seen so far, the tour of the police of the crime lab. We looked at deductive reasoning, and then we looked at processes. So today we're going to look at collection of evidence and chain of custody.
Welcome back, forensic
All
students.
right, hold on.
Today's lesson is going to be short and sweet because for my in-class students, we're going to go out into the schoolyard for a little mock investigation. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before that happens, I want to talk to you about the collection of evidence at a crime scene and the importance of the chain of custody. So now this is not the first time that we've discussed the chain of custody. We already know that the chain of custody is a record of individuals who have had physical possession of the evidence. If an investigator touches or puts their hands on evidence, it has to be recorded on the chain of custody log, which you see here on the screen. Documentation is critical to maintaining the integrity of the evidence. So from the crime scene all the way to the courtroom, we want to do the best job we can as forensic investigators to maintain the integrity of the evidence. Maintaining the chain of custody is vital for any type of evidence, all evidence, trace evidence, physical evidence, biological evidence, class evidence, big evidence, small evidence. It is all important, and the chain of custody has to be completed for each item collected from the crime scene. Now, we know that evidence, we've actually, in a previous lesson, we discussed the procedures for collecting evidence. So if you missed that lesson, you'll need to go back and watch the investigative processes lesson. But if you'll remember from that lesson, evidence must be sealed in its appropriate packaging. And there's a variety of different packages that are used. Again, in that investigative processes lesson, we talked about those various types of packaging. And the collection of evidence has to have a chain of custody log, and it has to be sealed appropriately. And we know that the collecting investigator has to sign the evidence seal as well as update information on the chain of custody log. And the signature on the seal must match that chain of custody log. The seal has to remain intact as the evidence changes hands. And a written record, which we call the chain of custody, must also travel with the completed sealed packaged evidence. It has to travel with the evidence, as you see here in this picture. Now, if you are in class today, we're going to do a little fun activity where we go out and about in the school and we are going to practice following the chain of custody. So we're actually going to learn, let me go back to this picture. We're actually going to learn how to fill out one of these chain of custody logs, how to appropriately attach it to evidence as we collect that evidence, and then how to send that evidence to the lab, and then what the lab's going to do once they intercept that evidence. Now, remember, low cards exchange principle states that every contact leaves a trace. So today we're going to see how that applies to a real life investigation, and we're going to use the evidence that we collect out and about in the schoolyard to solve a little mystery. So that's for my students that are in class today. For those of you that are tuning in and just watching the recap of the lesson, you are done for today. So I will see you in the next lesson. In today's forensics lesson, we are learning all about the process.
The next one. All right. So let me close this. All right. So this is, like I said, now in your recordings, on your homepage. If you want to, actually, I'll come back to that in a second. We're going to do an activity today, not like the one she was doing. I wish y'all could go out and do a scene in the lab. All right, so again, all of the videos that we've watched so far are in, and I say this because you might need to go back to them to do the activity. So we've done deductive reasoning, the crime scene process, that's the one you might need to go back to. That's the one we did last class, because that one is going to help you do the activity that we're going to do. Let's go back to the module first. Let somebody else in. All right, so let's go back to the module. History, 2 people. It's 3 people. All right, let me hold up for a minute. Let these folks get situated. And then, all right, folks, good morning. If I just let you in, you just missed the video. Yes, missed the video. But it is in on your homepage. We are now in Canvas, and I want you to go back to forensics, history of forensics science module, because she just mentioned something that you just breezed over, but you need to go back and look at it. All right. There's some rules that you need to look over, so you need to read this. So again, we're on history of forensic science. You did one of these activities. You did that. So come back and read this page here. Because you need to know a little bit about the Frye Standard. What do they mean by that? It's one of the gentlemen that you had to know. All right. So the standard pertains to the admissibility of scientific examination and experiments in legal proceedings. To meet the standard, the data that is collected from specific types of evidence must be reliable and reproducible under the same circumstances and generally accepted by scientific community. All right, so that's one of those things that you have to remember. And then you go on. So updates are also known as the Doebert ruling. So then you come down here and look at what the Doebert ruling is. And I'm going to let you read that paragraph, and I'm going to skip down here to what it is. And then to keep in mind, CSI is all about, we want to catch the bad guys. We want to catch the criminals. And the only way we can catch the criminal is if we collect the evidence at a crime scene properly, effectively, and in a way that you can't question, that it's no doubt how you collected it. It's not contaminated by any other sources. Otherwise, they can throw it out and the person who did the crime can go free. So it's going to be real important that we do this correctly. All right, so that's those 2 you need to read back. And then there was one more. talked about the difference between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Hopefully you went through and you did the practice on that. If you haven't, you should. And we have the video we watched talked about major crimes. And we've already talked about all the different areas that and it'll come up later on different ways. So somebody needs to know about the mental state of the person. Sorry, anthropology is about the bones, and with psychiatry is what was the mental state of the criminal at the time of the crime was committed. We're going to do an activity where we look at the bones and the teeth structure and try to figure out who this person is. Engineering, you might need to know the structure of the building or the location of the city in order to figure out the particulars of a scene. Entomology is about bugs, and pathology is about germs and viruses and things of that nature. So they show you're familiar with the vocabulary. And that brings us to the crime scene, brings us back to today. And you're going to make sure you go press all those buttons. Okay, you did that assessment. So that brings us to our activity. I saw y'all looking at it. I saw everybody doing it. I need to edit it so that it's visible to you today. So give me a minute. Change dates. I saw everybody looking at one night. You see that before? Okay. You may have to refresh your page in order to see it because I just made it public. I don't see it on mine yet either. Let's see. All right, there it is. All right, so I'm looking at it now from student perspective. So you should have something that says practice crime scene report. You want to click on that one. All right, so you have a crime scene, and then you have the rules of crime scene reporting. I wish I could make this bigger. Put these It's in your I cannot send because currently what? I'm trying to send you this picture, but it won't let me. I'm trying to blow it up for you. Let me try it again. Just copy. It won't paste. Anyway, what you can do is copy and paste this report scene so you can make it bigger. Maybe I can make it. That's teeny tiny. Yeah, you can read it better. Okay. All right, so you might need to come out and go back in order to see. Yeah, well, DeAndre, I'll deal with that later because when I was grading, it wasn't there. Folks, I try to keep up with the grading and so things that are done. And I'll say this again. I put due dates on it. So like this one, if you look, this one has a due date for next week. That doesn't mean you wait till next week to do it. Canvas will automatically on the due date, Canvas will give you a 0. I don't give the zeros. Canvas will put a 0 in there on the due date if you haven't done it by the due date. Okay? So please understand that I'm not up here putting zeros in the grade book. Because somebody just when y'all do assignments, I try to grade them as quickly as possible. So if you do it when I give you the time to do it, like I'm gonna give you the time to start on this activity now, you need to do that. Okay, and do that as quickly as possible. Focus in class, on class materials during class time. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to try to grade as fast as possible. It'll definitely be graded before the due date. So if a 0 pops up in there, it's because you didn't do it before the due date. So I'll take care of those in a second while y'all are working on this. All right, so you have a crime scene. You have a crime scene. These are the steps that you have to follow when you're doing a crime scene report. All right, so it says today you are a crime scene reporter. Using the 10 points, create a report for this crime scene. Step 6 should be detailed paragraph of the scene. So step 6, it says description of the scene as it appears. So that means you need to go through, like we said in the video, and slowly, meticulously observe all the things, as many things as you can see in this picture. Okay, so you need to invent a location. You gotta use your imagination, invent a location for the scene. Who is the responding officer of documentation? That could be you. That is you. Okay, the instructions say today you are the crime scene reporter. Therefore, you are the responding officer of documentation. So that's your name. Remember, you are creating a crime scene report. That's what this activity is. So you're going to follow these steps. So like I said, number 1, you have to, sorry, mic was up in the air. Number 1, you have to invent a location for the scene. You are the responding reporter. Emergency medical people on the scene, just document that they showed up. Somebody showed up. Created an arrival time for them. Created time of departure for you from the scene. So again, you are looking at how long is it going to take you to make all these observations. So time yourself. When you start doing your crime scene invest, time yourself. How long did it take you to make all those observations and record all of that? So time of departure. And then, like I said, number 6, you have to give a detailed report. All right, so record evidence and observations and transfer to that. Documentation of any deviations from the process. So you need to describe, like she was saying, chain of command. This is all from 7 on out is chain of command. So you need to include a crime scene report. So let me give you a copy of what she just said so that you can show how the evidence was, anything that is collected, you need to document that. And then any other documentation from anybody else. So if you think anybody else showed up on the scene, document what they might have seen done. Photographer might have come on the scene, talk about them. Do you think a warrant is needed? So write down if you think you're going to send for a warrant and any other technical reports that you think might be necessary. But basically, you are number 12 may not be something that you need to include, but this is what a report will have. So I'm going to give you also a copy of okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute and you can get started on that. And I'm gonna give you a copy of the evidence collecting. Put that on there too. Yes, you can. Okay, here's a picture of what she showed you in the video. Whoa, what is that? Okay, I'm going to include this one in here as well. All right, so again, you're going to have to go back and refresh your page because I'm adding the report to it. Okay, it's huge. Okay, that'll do. Okie dokie. All right, so if you refresh your page, and I'm going to pull it up again. If you refresh your page, the assignment now includes a evidence sheet. So when you do your report, I don't need you to include the crime scene report list, but you need to follow it. What you should include though is the picture, the crime scene picture, with your answers and the evidence of the evidence and chain of custody report. Okay, so include those in your submission. All right, so go ahead and get started on that. Remember that it is 25 points, so this is not a cut and dry activity. Again, number 6 needs to be as detailed as possible. Okay, you can go back and watch the videos. So again, you have access. Oh, okay. I'll go in and check on that. Yeah, I thought it was already in the thing, and then when I'm looking now, it didn't show up. So I will correct that. Somebody just said that it popped up in the grade book as a duplicate assignment. I will fix that. I will fix that. Because when I opened it up just now, it wasn't there. So I will need to check on that. All right, let me stop sharing. Yes, you can. So you can put in if you feel like you need, if the person is, you can decide whether they're dead or they're injured or whatever. So your description should say that. And based on your description, then you can decide if you need to get an emergency medical person or not. Okay. Crime scene. It's not duplicated. It just, but yeah, it just showed up today as, why did it show up as a 0? I don't know why everybody has a 0 for that. That doesn't make any sense. All right, let me look at this again. Hmm. All right, that one I'm going to work on. Somebody else said they. Yeah, that's the, it should, so I have to find that one and delete that one because I just changed the date on it. The one I'm looking at in the grade book is the one I just assigned now. So I got to find the one that you're looking at and delete it. Okay. That one. That one shouldn't even be there because I don't even have access to delete it. Refresh your page and maybe it'll go away. Because right now, when I'm looking at the assignment page, I'm not seeing the last year's date on it. I'm seeing only the one that I adjusted. So I took that one, I changed the date so that it's for this year. Huh. Yeah, I see that. All right. As far as I can tell, you decide who else do you want on the scene? Um, you don't have to give them a name. You can just say the coroner. You can say um, the EMTs showed up. You don't have to give them a name. The only name that you have to have on there is yours, and you are the responding reporter. Everybody else, you don't have to give them a fictional name. You can just give them a title. The, okay, the coroner, who's the other person? Medical examiner, the ME, the EMTs can show up. Um, but like I say, you don't have to name them. You don't have to name the victim. Describe the victim, but you don't have to name the victim. All right, while you're doing that, let me, like I said, I don't know. Once you refresh your page, it should not be showing, although it does show a 0 for everybody. And I don't know why. Travis, see you went ahead and did this ahead of time. Look at yours and make sure that you, because yeah, you did this as fictional character. So go back and put you as the medical officer. Mm-hmm. I've updated the grade book. The grade book should not, like I said, the grade book that I'm looking at does not have, my grade book does not have that extra assignment in it. Let's see. I am going to, I don't know why that's like that. And you were talking about a zero. The only zeros I'm seeing is for this assignment today, and I don't know why it's doing that. No, it shouldn't be that way by the end of the day. That's what I'm, because yeah, that zero kind of kicked everybody's grade into the lower pits. So we will, don't worry about that. It'll update. It'll update. Because that's, the assignment isn't late. So don't worry about that one. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that's not bad, but I want you to be the responding officer. So just change that one. The rest you could leave. Yeah. Well, like I said, I upgraded the assignment so that, and changed the dates on it. So that in my grade book, it has the current dates. So I'm thinking that if once at the end of the day, that other thing will disappear because that's not even on my assignment list anymore. So I will check on it at the end of the day. In fact, let me do something. I'm going to log out of everything and come back in and see what I see. And you know what? That might have happened because some of you started the assignment before I changed the date. And that might be why it's doing that. Because otherwise, in my grade book, it is not, it does not have a late date on it. So, because I saw when I was looking at Go Guardian, I saw some of y'all looking at the assignment ahead of time. Like this, I just assigned it and four of y'all are finished already. Mm-hmm. Yeah. and it's going to do that because it was late. So um, don't worry about that. I'll just, so if you all get finished with this assignment today, I will try to get through and make sure it is graded so that that disappears. That's the only thing I can think of to make that go away because it shouldn't be. It's not late in my book, so it shouldn't be late on yours. But like I said, the assignment was available for some strange reason. I don't know why y'all had access to it when you shouldn't have. But because some of you started it and it's already, students were already doing this, had submitted the assignment, it kept that date. So that is not the date on the assignment that I have. I have a date of next week. Let me, all the dates on here are current. $20.25 on all these dates. Yeah, I'm looking. It did everybody the same way. Right now, everybody has like 37% because everybody's got a zero. But, and I don't know why. But not to worry, not to worry. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it fixed. But yeah, the assignment is available today. It's not due till next week. And it's open until next week. And again, folks, don't wait till next week to get it done. I'm just leaving that open for absent people and in case we still have plenty of time this morning to get that done. So don't, you got like almost another 20 minutes. All right, but so like I said, I will take a look at that this afternoon before the day ends to make sure that y'all aren't going into Friday with a bunch of zeros. So you do your part, I'll do mine, and we'll make it all wonderful. Again, be as thorough as possible in describing the scene. Don't take shortcuts. All right, and I'm looking at those of you who did the last assignment with the scientists, and a lot of you just put what they are the title of, but what does that mean? Father of fingerprinting, what does that mean? Father of what is arthrophotometry? What is that? So you just told me father of, and so you need to know more than that. But I'm gonna leave that. I'm not reassigning that. I'm just gonna leave that as is. All right. In other words, what did they do? Yes, you can include time of death. That's fictional, but you can include that. Mhm. Mm. I wonder if I can do this. Just go. All right, for the time being, what it is allowing me to do is just to delete these zeros. So that's what I'm going to do. There's nothing else I can. However, that is misleading. Yes, you can, Van. Yes, you can. With the chain of custody report, folks, you can create a new document, or you can just type up a list of what, how you want it to be displayed. All right. All right, so I took out all the zeros, except for the folks who actually submitted something. Well, let me take that out. Let's start. Um, okay. All right, so grade might look slightly better if you are current on all your assignments. I got one or two people who still owe me something. So you don't have 100. Okay. Yeah, if you are like DeAndre, you did yours, so you're fine. But Don Travius, you need to go back and look at yours. You submitted it before I gave all instructions. I think Van, you need to go back and look at yours as well. A couple of you submitted it before I added the other document on there. So go back, and if you already submitted yours, look at it again. So William, look at yours. Van, I know you're looking at yours. This is Don Travius, look at yours, and Janila, look at yours, and William. So 4 of you. Look, you've already submitted before I put that other document up there. So look at yours again. Look at your number 6. Make sure you have because that should be a paragraph. Number 6 should be a paragraph. You should have as much information on that as about the crime scene as possible. There's a lot of stuff in that crime scene. That's not a one sentence answer. All right, so again, I took all the zeros out so everybody won't have a zero for this assignment until next week. All the other things, if you're missing that, they should have been done. So the zeros went in for those will stay. If you have a question, please ask. How are you looking at that? Mhm. Okay, folks, it's time to go. You all have a great weekend, and like I said, try to make sure you get this in over the weekend.